I would like to invite someone very special, actually the founder of the company that we acquired as Körber a number of years ago, Christoph Herwig, who is really a biodevelopment expert. And Christoph, I won't go through your whole CV, but thank you very much for joining us. And I look forward that you can show us a bit of your experience on bioprocess, data management and analytics, how these things can be drawn together, and ultimately the question that we just had, how can we start to more automatically detect these colorations and not have to build these things ourselves into a Power BI, for example. So thank you.
Thank you, Albert, for this nice introduction. I start the session with this bottle. It's not for me to drink. What could that be? Could be a bottle of purified protein, right? How much is that worth? About 2 million euro? Something like this could be, right? Or even more. One shot of Kymriah costs 400,000. What if the quality is not correct? Right? I was in the biopharmaceutical industry and I've had this experience. Okay, so I was there and then we had bad quality. What did we do? We have thrown that away. I have myself put that in the drain, okay? And what did I get as an answer from my colleagues? Not about why did it happen or what did go wrong. It was all about when do we do it again? And let's hope next time it will be better. That has driven me to the point to say we have to do something else. And that is PAS-X Savvy, if you say. Okay? I start with a picture very close to what Pierre just mentioned. This is a plot here from the MS data in PAS-X Savvy. It's historical data and you can trend them, right? You can trend them and you have these wonderful curves. You can probably say, yeah, you can see a change in the yield, but it's not about the change. It's about the understanding why. Because optimization is not just hoping it will get better, right? It's about knowing why it is, okay? I think that's the main difference here. So we have to put more than just trending into this. There's only one goal, right? I mentioned here this goal, 0 batch failures in manufacturing, because I think we are coming more from the manufacturing side. That's the reason why I start from there, right? But definitely there are other goals, right? It's about supply chain. I think I dropped that here because it's not my field. But let's say the life cycle of the product is my field, okay? It's about the development part, accelerated commercialization, robust tech transfer, and last but not least, also when you think about ICH Q12, we are in a life cycle business, okay? So we're not doing it once, we are doing that in iterations, right, all the time. That's the reason why we position PAS-X Savvy along the complete life cycle, and we try to link different data together. And of course, we have seen wonderfully from Pierre how we can already link PAS-X MES via PDA to Savvy, but I would like to go a little bit beyond of that and show you what that is. In order to get this bottle right, and not only once, but all the time and along the life cycle, we have to control the process. But that's not that easy. It's about a complete process chain, number one. It's not about one unit operation. I will come back to that in a moment. Then we have lots of CQAs, KPIs on the right side, right? And then we have lots of CPPs, so critical process parameters and raw material attributes, especially important in CGT, of course, where the raw material attributes or the starting material is inherent to the process, right? Your blood is different from mine, right? So we have to understand that. And there are probably 200 parameters or attributes which finally are inputs, and we have to link that to the output. And that's quite a multidimensional challenge, right? And how to get that controlled. There are 2 steps. Number one is about the understanding, so asking about the how, that would be the multivariate correlation probably, but also about the why, which could be the mechanistic. And then it is about, after the understanding, it's about control. And that's a control strategy. And I'm not the only one talking about control strategy. It's also the FDA. A good friend of mine, Lawrence, has put this pyramid up here. And we are not at level 3. So we're not testing the product. Is that okay, this bottle or not? Right? We should go level 2 and level 1. The level 2 is about we have more data and we try to understand in a more statistical fashion how the things are related, right? When we read that, it's about reduced end product testing, flexible critical material attributes and critical process parameters within the design space. So we know how this statistically is linked. But if we think about process intensification, continuous manufacturing, intensification by itself, right? All these optimization tasks, we go even one level up. And that's the level 1, real-time automated control, flexible process parameters to respond to variability in the input material attributes. That means we are ready to compensate the process with varying inputs. And we will always have variability. Biology itself, raw material, manual interactions, etc. We will have that, face it, and make the process ready to be compensative. That's a big picture. But we have to start at a very different level. We have to start here. That's a real case out of our projects. That's a real case, and I think when I look in your eyes, you may have seen the same thing. Lots of data sources, lots of Mensch, ärger dich nicht, guys. So that, how do you call that in English? But you know that game, those guys which really annoy you. It's manual interaction, just called. Okay, lots of data streams, different ones, Excel links, etc., and data streams which don't end up anywhere. So the lowest one, for example, it ends up in a report, but the data are not used. There is no life cycle on that. Okay. So lots of issues occur here, lots of data sources, heterogeneous formats, manual processes, silo, decentralized storages, we had these points, etc., right? All these issues. So the first thing what we need to do, and that's where we start, is with PAS-X Savvy and of course data collection. We had this approach already. We have to link the different data sources together. MES, yes. But also we have already heard it's about other elements. The middlewares here in the sense of historians, SCADA systems, LIMS systems, DCS, QMS, data lakes, harmonized data models, etc. But also when you look at the number 1, it's also connecting to individual devices, which may have also in development, right? The chromatography system, the plate reader, the cytometer, the bioreactor, whatever, all these elements, you can connect them individually. I will jump over that, how we do that. It's mainly based on APIs, REST APIs. It's based on OPC UA, of course, on data crawlers, etc. If you have enough driving force, it's always possible to connect it. Okay, normally we can always connect that. It's not the point. Okay, it's about the value which finally drives it. Okay, so we connect here all these different data sources. I will not go too much into detail. We have discussed that, but it's possible to do so. Okay, that's about collecting of the data, but that's only probably 20% of what we need to do. A very important point is data contextualization. What is it? You have here in the dimension, I'm a metrics guy, so at least I think two-dimensional here in this way. So it's about the life cycle of the products, right? And then you have the process chain, let's say, on the other axis. And then you have, of course, lots of different runs in manufacturing, in development, and you have so many different data sources. You have time series, you have LIMS data, endpoint data, you have spectra for all your PAT systems, for example, chromatography systems. You may have pictures from your flow cytometer or even SDS pages here. And it's not about storing them, it's about linking them together. That means you have to think how to link in one part of the time series, so the first part which you may see here, how to link this one in the upstream part in the development to a spectrum in the downstream in manufacturing. So you see, it's not about linking, just putting these things together. It's about contextualization, and contextualization needs domain knowledge. We are from the domain. All our team is from the domain. So we all come from the biotech field, and we build it up from there. Yeah. So you have to know how to link that. If you would throw that all just into a big data hub and you run statistics over it, it will only be garbage in, garbage out. It will not help you at all. Not at all. Therefore, of course, lots of tools are needed in order to do that. Of course, we have the data and all this, the classical multivariate data analysis tools, like you know them also from other tools, PCA, MLR, PLS, whatever. This is, of course, there. We don't have to reinvent the algorithms for that. They are there, right? Can be done directly in Savvy. But what you can also do is write in your customized solution. So what we have is here a tool where you can write your customized calculators, or we write this, and then we deploy them to the rest of the folks in the organization as an app. Okay? So only one is programming, or we are programming that, and then it is deployed, and then in this project, everyone is using the same formula, right? Which is difficult in Excel, right? We all know this. So we can deploy them as apps and then share that, let's say, with a team. We can even share more. So it's a very collaborative analytics tool. That means we have the possibility to share the data not only inside of your organization, but also with your partners, analytical labs, your CDMO partners in both ways, and so on. You can share data sets and work in there, okay? And then the quality is clear. So what Savvy is, in a nutshell, is about these 5 steps which I'm showing you. It's about, number 1, the data collection. I think I have expanded on that. The contextualization, I think I have mentioned how important that is. A domain-based data model, which actually allows playing with all the data, getting them in such a way organized that we can really do what we are paid for, the analysis part, not the management part, right? So that means we have them in the data model, and then we start with our stuff, which we really want to do. 80% of the people first visualize, and they want to have a visualization tool, and this tool was selected, for example, by Sanofi for worldwide visualization across the globe, so it's very nice for that. But you can also do calculations, advanced analysis, reporting also, automated reporting in there, etc. And finally, it's about sharing, as I just mentioned, giving the data out and share what you have done. And the important point is, Savvy is probably the unique tool to do data management and analytics in one. Why is that important? Why is it important to keep that together? When you think about the 483s currently, they are on data integrity, a lot, I think. Data integrity is an own business case by itself, and that happens many times when you finally have an OOS result and you print a certain root cause and you think, okay, hi, that's my result, and I file it. And then people ask, where do these data come from? What is a root cause? Okay, but what are the real raw data to this? So if you are actually decoupling the raw data from the analytics, and then you go back, I have an outlier, I go back and forth, and I can never retrieve anymore what really is the raw data to my filing, okay? That's why we keep that in one. That's about PAS-X Savvy. It's, as I said, not only a tool for one unit operation, it's a tool about the complete process chain. If you want to improve, it's not only to improve one unit operation. Your car will never drive faster only when you change the gearbox. Okay? You need a systemic approach. So you have to see the process chain as one system, right? Complete. Okay? And only changing one step is not enough. That means if you have 200 parameters, for example, which are, of course, let's say, iterated and so on, and they are nicely kept, probably then you achieve a product quality which is finally in the range. But what happens if some of these parameters go off? And probably your MBR will show that each individual step was very nicely kept. And you have fulfilled the PARs and the NORs, you have fulfilled that for that step. But a little bit off the set point, but still in your range, and the next one, here's also a little bit off the range, okay? but the interactivity between the steps finally get the system to fail into this bottle. Okay? So that's what we have to make sure that we have a proper control strategy in place. So how do we do that? How to develop this kind of robust, we call it also holistic control strategy here. We develop robust digital twins. The digital twins are linking, let's say, variabilities along the process chain. That means we are concatenating the different models which we have, or the understanding for each individual part. We link these elements together, and now we can analyze what would be the real sensitivity of the variation in an early step to a later step on the drug substance, drug product, or even the patient. Now the envelope is changing. Also with CGT, we get much more into even including the patient. Okay? But how do we do that? So we have this process chain. We change here at this chromatography step. We change, for example, a process parameter like elution pH. We change that, and we can see what is the probability of failure at the drug substance level. Okay? And inversely, from this probability, we should try to, let's say, fix, for example, 0.5% of failure you still accept. Inversely, you can calculate what is the real proven acceptable range for my process parameter in an earlier stage. Yeah? This is an integrated digital twin. So you see, I jumped over classical, let's say, data analysis tools, and I directly go into these tools, which are also possible with Savvy. So here are some tools which we can do. Here, setting the control strategy, accelerating tech transfer, and then, of course, also batch prediction, optimum control. So we have also possibilities to include digital twins in a real-time mode. Okay, and then actually seeing what will happen, what will be the process event happening then and then. Okay, so this is what we are doing here with these tools. So when you think about, let's say, first the pre-commercialization steps, so development, tech transfer, validation, we can have time savings, we can have increased productivity, increased process transparency, speed up in process life cycling. We save a lot of unnecessary costs, for example, not running your experiments without knowing the result of the previous experiment, which is very often the case, right? So the speed of data generation, or the speed of data generation, is normally much quicker than the speed of data analysis. And with Savvy, you bring this back on a par. Okay? So for the manufacturing guys, this digital twin can also run in a real-time mode. So when we think about 3 steps have been run, and then you see that 2 steps are left to go, we can already predict what, under the conditions which we will set on these kind of process parameters, which we may set at the last 2 points. You see that here, right? They're still going to run. Then you can see what will be the prediction probably here for the different CQAs. You can even go more deeper, and we can have a look where that will finally end up. And like this, you can have with this one a real solution for real-time release, which is, let's say, probably still one business case where we all think that's the future, but we're already working on that. So this business case in this field is that we are actually setting specifications. We set intermediate acceptance criteria for intermediate process steps. We set the control strategy. We can calculate the number of PPQ runs, for example. We can set the control limits with PARs and NORs, etc. We can think about real-time release, as I have just shown before here in this case. And of course, it's a tool for deviation management. And this, of course, all supported by our CMC consulting. So we have a team of about 10 people doing unit work in stage 1 and stage 3 process validation. Yeah, having a unique workflow in process characterization, which of course is very important for that work, embedding all this one into a robust control strategy and helping you filing this finally in a BLA or an IND. Also PPQ, of course, stage 2. So coming to the end. So PAS-X Savvy is a tool for the complete life cycle. I hope I could show you that here. Yeah. And it helps reducing time to market, save research and production costs, establishing high product quality, and in our opinion, a real tool to actually drive digital transformation. And we do that because we are a unique team of domain experts developing that one. I think that is very much needed in order to go for digital transformation. We think that finally PAS-X Savvy is covering solutions along the pyramid, which you see on the right side, right? And if you project this pyramid of the control strategy to the data maturity model, which we have just seen, we are actually allowing this part together with PDA. We have seen that even beyond. And we have tools to adapt. We have adaptive models. I will not talk inflationarily over AI or ML and all this stuff. We need to be honest to what we do. We also deploy that, but be careful what you say on that. There are also other tools which you can adapt. We adapt mechanistical models in the same way, so all is possible. But keep that honest, okay? I think that's important. But we have a solution here for data maturity and to respond to the FDA in order to have control strategies properly done. Thank you very much for your attention. Think about that bottle.
Thanks, thanks, Christoph. Much appreciated. I've got one question for you. So, someone from the audience asked if you could maybe, with all your knowledge, share a bit in layman's terms what ICHQ12 means. It wasn't clear to everyone. You mentioned it a couple of times in the presentation.
Yeah, ICHQ12 is from the ICH, International Conference on Harmonization. Q12 guideline is about lifecycle management. Okay, it's not about knowing once that you produce your product correctly along ICHQ10, if you go back to the quality system, but that you are having a strategy in place how to life cycle. Okay, your plant will age, you will have different raw materials, your personnel will change, etc. How to cope with these variabilities which will come, and this one is a plan which you have to show along ICHQ12.